The air is thick as smoke.
Sup witches, ready to build your first character in Riders on Jorvik? Alright, let's get started. First thing you'll need to do is print out the Riders of Jorvik character sheet. You'll find a link to this in the description of this video. You don't have to print it out, but as of this video coming out, there isn't a form fillable version that you can do on your computer, so it may be easier to go ahead and print it out and write in the answers. And right off the bat, looking at 2 pages of a character sheet might feel like a lot, but we won't be using most of it until we get into play. So we're really only going to fill out a couple of boxes. So let's start from the top and work our way down. First of all, pick a name for your character and their horse, as well as pronouns to refer to them both. We don't need to worry about conditions for now, as that comes up into play. We are going to have to worry about HP, but we need to figure out some things first, so we're going to skip it for a moment and come back. In SSO, you have stats that determine what you're good at. The same is true in Riders of Jorvik. There are 5 stats that your character will have: physical, mental, emotional, writing, and magic. These stats determine the bonuses you get on certain rolls, based on the stat corresponding to that ability. Physical determines how good your character is at physical activities, like running, lifting heavy objects, and if things get dangerous, fighting. Your physical score also determines the bonus you get to your health, so keep that in mind when we come back to figuring out our health in a minute. Mental determines how smart your character is, and this could be thinking on the fly, practical reasoning, common sense, book smart, street smart. It's just how good they are at thinking. Emotional determines how good your character is with dealing with other people, whether that's being charming and persuasive, or if it's being very good at intimidation and being threatening. Writing determines how well your character handles dealing with horses, whether it's riding or caring for your horse in general. And last, magic is how your character handles, well, using magic and the bonuses they get to casting magic spells and finding sources of the arcane. Now, no one can be good at everything, and it's important to remember that your character is part of a team in Riders of Jorvik, and not the star of the show. This means each character has a specialty, but also a weakness in their stats when they're starting out. To start, you have a list of stats that you can assign in any order to the stats that your character wants. These stats are +2, +1, 0, 0, and a -1. This means your character will be really good at one thing, kind of okay at another thing, average at 2 things, and then not so good at the 5th. And that's okay. You and your party members will all have different abilities, and it's that working together that means that you'll be able to become a really solid team. Now that you've assigned your stats, we can go back and determine your HP, or your character's health. Your character's health is 10 plus your physical stat, and your horse's health is 15 plus your physical stat. If your physical stat is a +1, then your character starts with 11, and your horse starts with 16 health. Mark down those both and start at max health, as you haven't gotten into danger yet. Now it's time to get into the fun part, and that's picking skills for your character. I'm going to go into the nitty-gritty of each of these different categories over the next couple of videos, so for now we'll just go over the basics. There are 4 aspects that your character gets skills from: plane that they're from, the particular job or hobby that they have that builds up their skill set, the magic circle that they're closest to, and the kind of horse that their soul steed is. From each of these 4 categories, start by picking up 1 skill from each and writing them in the skill section of your character sheet. Remember also to get your class passive. You can only get class passives from the class you start with, so think carefully which one you want. And don't worry if you see a skill from another class that you really want. As you level up, you'll be able to buy these skills, just the ones you start with will always be cheaper. The last thing you need to do is determine the relationship you have with your fellow party members. Your relationship with other characters will give you certain bonuses, depending on what your relationship status is. To gamify this, you have a friendship meter on a scale of -3 to +3. But at the start of the game, everyone's just starting off with those friendships. You'll start with a bank of points that you can put into your relationships with friends, and this bank of points will be equal to the number of members in your party +1. You can put them all into one relationship or spread them out equally, and you don't even have to use all of them if you want to start really from ground zero with everyone in your party. And the last thing you should do is double check all the abilities and skills that you picked up and make sure they don't add anything that you need to update or write down. For instance, some skills may give you an HP bonus, other skills may give you stat bonuses, so make sure you read through the descriptions and write them down and update your stats. And with that, your character is ready to play. Finish out by thinking of what your character looks like or any other details that you think are important and telling them to your GM. If you're still not sure about each of the areas that you should be picking, then stay tuned to next week because we're going to be diving into customization, starting with the different planes that are available in the guidebook of Riders of Jorvik. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this helped you get your characters started. If you're interested in staying up to date on all things Riders of Jorvik, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. And if you have any other questions, be sure to reach out to me on all the social medias listed in the description or leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye!